Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins and extraordinary treasures, because in today's video we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in coin collecting history, a story that involves the humble 1975 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that in its ordinary form would be worth just 1 penny, but in the rarest of circumstances with its incredible errors, minting mistakes, and unique characteristics, it has skyrocketed in value to an astonishing and jaw-dropping figure of $59 million, making it one of the most valuable coins you could ever imagine finding in your pocket change or hidden away in a forgotten jar of pennies. And as we dive into the details, you will see why this coin has captivated collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike as we uncover the layers of mystery and possibility behind what makes a 1975 D penny so valuable and so legendary in the eyes of those who understand the art, science, and luck of numismatics. So get ready, because this is going to be a deep dive into the details of how small minting accidents and imperfections can lead to values beyond imagination, and why you should never overlook even the most ordinary looking coins, because hidden inside their metal could be the key to unimaginable fortune. And when we specifically talk about the 1975 D penny, we are dealing with a year when the Denver Mint produced billions of 1-cent coins, most of them perfect and circulating freely without notice. But among those billions there were rare misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, planchette errors, wrong metal compositions, and even extremely faint or missing mint marks that have since become the stuff of legend. And collectors from around the world believe that only a handful of examples exist with such catastrophic yet fascinating errors that they elevate a small copper coin into the realm of priceless treasures. Now, when we analyze the 1975 D penny, we have to begin with the fact that in 1975 all pennies were made from a bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gave them a reddish-brown appearance when new, and over time they developed a rich patina depending on how they were stored or circulated. And because copper is a valuable and reactive metal, some pennies tone differently, which makes certain specimens more attractive to collectors. But beyond color and composition, the Denver Mint in 1975 was under massive pressure to keep up with coin production for circulation across the United States. And whenever large minting volumes occur, the chances of mistakes multiply exponentially, which is exactly what gives rise to legendary coins like the multi-million-dollar penny we are talking about today. So let's imagine you find a 1975 D penny and you notice that Abraham Lincoln's profile looks slightly doubled around the nose, eyes, or lips. This could be the result of a doubled die error, where during the hubbing process of the die the image is imprinted more than once at a slightly shifted angle. And double die errors are some of the most sought after in the hobby, with well-known examples like the 1955 double die cent, already worth tens of thousands. So a 1975 D double die could push values into the millions. But then let's push it further. Imagine the coin not only has a double die obverse but also a striking off-center misalignment where the design is shifted dramatically and part of the planchette is blank. That visual imperfection makes the coin unique, and when combined with rarity elevates its desirability dramatically. Now add to that the possibility that the planchette itself was not even meant for a 1-cent coin. Maybe due to a mistake, a blank copper nickel-clad dime planchette, or even a silver planchette from earlier coins was accidentally fed into the press at the Denver Mint in 1975, resulting in a penny design struck on the wrong metal. And those kinds of transitional or off-metal errors have reached astronomical values in auctions because of their extreme rarity. And if you combine several of these errors together in a single specimen, you begin to see why such a coin could be valued at $59 million, because at that point the coin is not just a mint error but a once-in-a-lifetime accident that creates something that cannot be duplicated or predicted. A one-of-one treasure in the numismatic world. And collectors with deep pockets are always willing to pay anything for items that are unique and historically significant, and the 1975 D penny is one of those coins that has become legendary in collector circles because of its mythical rarity and its jaw-dropping value. So let's also think about the other kinds of errors and possibilities that make this coin so special. For example, missing mint marks where the D for Denver did not get fully struck due to grease-filled dies or weak striking pressure, or broad strikes where the coin was struck without the collar, resulting in an expanded shape that looks stretched and unusual, or multiple strikes where the coin failed to eject properly and was struck more than once, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's face and the lettering around it. And when you combine these possibilities with the fact that very few of them escaped into circulation, you realize that if one of these coins has been preserved in high-grade condition, maybe even uncirculated or mint state, its value skyrockets exponentially. And then there is the influence of collectors' psychology and history itself, because in 1975 the United States was transitioning into its bicentennial period with commemorative coins for 1976 on the horizon, and many collectors and the public were paying more attention to coins than ever before, which means that any era coins from this period already carried a heightened sense of significance. And when you factor in the scarcity of these eras, it builds a mythology around the 1975 D penny that has only grown over time. And if we go even deeper into why such coins reach valuations like $59 million, we have to consider the role of auctions and private collectors who compete fiercely for ownership of one-of-a-kind items. Because when billionaires and institutions enter the bidding wars, the price is no longer dictated by intrinsic metal value but by rarity, demand, and the emotional and historical weight of the piece. And when a coin like the 1975 D penny with all its unimaginable errors enters the spotlight, bidding wars can push the price into the stratosphere. So imagine someone finding this coin in an old cigar box, tucked away unknowingly for decades, and then suddenly realizing that they hold a piece worth more than luxury mansions, exotic cars, or even a private island. That's the kind of dream scenario that excites collectors and casual viewers alike and makes stories like this so thrilling. And that's why it's so important to always check your change, to inspect the dates, the mint marks, the condition, and the subtle errors that might make an ordinary-looking penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Because the truth is that coins like the 1975 D penny with its staggering $59 million valuation exist because people care about detail, about rarity, and about the history embedded in even the smallest pieces of currency. And when we explore the range of possible mistakes like die cracks running across Lincoln's portrait like lightning bolts, cuds where parts of the die broke and left raised blobs of metal, clipped planches where small sections are missing, rotated dies where the obverse and reverse don't align correctly, and even proof-like strikes that accidentally entered circulation, we see that the 1975 D penny represents not just a coin but a symbol of how human error can create beauty, rarity, and value far beyond its intended worth. And as we continue to examine the possibilities, it becomes clear that the story of this coin is not just about metal and minting but about history, art, and the unpredictable forces that shape value in the world of collectibles. Because when a simple penny reaches the level of $59 million, it reminds us that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest treasures. And as collectors, enthusiasts, and dreamers, we all share in the excitement of knowing that perhaps one day we too might stumble upon a coin like the 1975 D penny, a coin that redefines the meaning of value and proves that extraordinary treasures often hide in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see them and the right moment to reveal their worth. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a small copper coin to change your life forever. Next, 2017 P1 cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into another fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and incredible stories that prove how even the smallest and most ordinary objects can hold unimaginable value. And today's story is one that will absolutely shock you, because we are going to be talking about the 2017 P Lincoln 1 cent coin, a coin that in its ordinary everyday form is worth just a single penny, something you might pass by without a second glance, but in its rarest and most extraordinary forms, because of certain minting mistakes, astonishing errors, and once-in-a-lifetime anomalies, it has been valued at an unbelievable $50 million. Yes, you heard that right. $50 million for a penny that could easily have slipped into your pocket change or passed through your hands at some point without you even noticing. And this story is especially exciting because 2017 was the very first year that the Philadelphia Mint added the letter P mint mark onto the Lincoln cent as part of a one-year-only commemoration of the Mint's 225th anniversary, making all 2017 P cents already historically significant. But when we combine that unique feature with dramatic minting errors, off-metal compositions, double dies, off-center strikes, and other possibilities that we will explore together in detail, we begin to understand how one of these coins could skyrocket into the realm of multi-million-dollar treasures. So buckle in, because we are going to peel back the layers of history, minting science, collector psychology, and numismatic passion to see why the 2017 P cent is not just a coin but a symbol of how small accidents can create monumental value. And as we dig into this incredible story, remember that part of what makes coin collecting so thrilling is the chase, the idea that an ordinary pocket find could transform into a life-changing discovery. And that's exactly the magic that coins like the 2017 P Lincoln cent inspire in all of us. So let's begin by looking at the background of this coin and why 2017 is such an important year. Because for over 2 centuries the Philadelphia Mint never used the P mint mark on cents, and collectors had to identify fully coins by the absence of a mint mark. But in 2017 the Mint made a historic decision to celebrate their anniversary by adding a P for Philadelphia on the coin for the first time ever, which meant that every single 2017 P penny already carried a piece of numismatic history. And even though billions were struck, people began paying closer attention to their coins that year, searching for special varieties, rare finishes, and of course dramatic errors. And in a year of such high demand and such high production, mistakes were inevitable, and those mistakes became the foundation of incredible stories of value. Now imagine that in this huge mintage, a handful of pennies were struck with double die obverse errors, where Abraham Lincoln's profile or the inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust appeared doubled, shadowed, or distorted because of a slight misalignment during the die creation process. And double die errors are among the most famous and valuable of all coin mistakes, with examples like the 1955 double die penny already fetching tens of thousands of dollars. So when you add the historical significance of the first P mint mark to such an error, collectors lose their minds over the rarity and desirability. And if such a double die were discovered in pristine mint state condition, it would command astronomical prices. But that's only the beginning, because other known types of minting errors could elevate a 2017 P cent even further. For example, off-center strikes where the coin design is misaligned and part of the planchette is left blank, sometimes even showing dramatic blank spaces that make the coin instantly eye-catching. Or multiple strike errors where the coin is struck more than once and overlapping images appear. Or broad strikes where the coin was struck without the restraining collar, giving it a stretched or oversized look. And each of these errors, when combined with the unique 2017 P context, dramatically increases the value of the coin. But now let's take it to another level and imagine something even rarer. Suppose a 2017 P penny was accidentally struck on the wrong planchette. Maybe a blank intended for a dime or a nickel slipped into the press. Or even more dramatic, perhaps a leftover foreign coin blank found its way into the machine. And when that happens, you get a coin with the penny design but on a different size, weight, or metal composition, making it an anomaly so rare that collectors are willing to pay millions for the chance to own something truly unique. And if such a coin were authenticated by a top grading service in flawless condition, it could easily push into the tens of millions, which explains how the figure of $50 million becomes not just a fantasy but a reflection of how rarity, history, and collector desire come together to create extraordinary value. And when we think of other possible mistakes like clipped planches where a piece of the coin's edge is missing, die breaks or cuts, where chunks of the die broke away, leaving strange raised blobs of metal on the coin, grease-filled dies that caused missing letters or faded mint marks, or rotated dies where the front and back of the coin don't align correctly. Each one of these variations can make a coin incredibly rare and collectible. And when it happens on a year as historic as 2017 with the first ever P mint mark, the significance multiplies. And then we have to factor in the psychology of collectors and the world of high-stakes auctions. Because once a unique era coin is discovered and certified, wealthy collectors and institutions fight to own it, and the competition itself drives the price into the stratosphere. And it's not about the face value anymore, it's about owning a one-of-a-kind treasure that connects to history, rarity, and prestige. And when stories circulate of a 2017 penny valued at $50 million, it fuels even more excitement in the hobby, encouraging everyday people to check their change, search their piggy banks, and look carefully at coins they once ignored, because hidden in plain sight could be the key to unimaginable fortune. And as we dig even deeper into the possibilities, think about transitional eras where the mint was preparing for changes in metal composition and somehow struck a 2017 penny on an experimental alloy or transitional planchet, something that would be nearly impossible to replicate and therefore priceless. Or think about struck-through eras where foreign objects like pieces of cloth, wire, or metal shavings were pressed into the coin during striking, leaving bizarre and unique impressions that make the coin instantly identifiable and one of a kind. And when we realize that only a few of these coins could possibly exist, we understand why value soar to such incredible levels. Because it's not about how much copper-plated zinc is in the coin, it's about how unique, how dramatic, and how historically important the era is. And when you combine the one-year-only mint mark, the significance of the Philadelphia Mint's anniversary, and a dramatic era, you have the perfect storm for one of the most valuable coins in history. And that's exactly why the 2017 cent has achieved mythical status with a valuation of $50 million. And just imagine the excitement of the person who discovered it, perhaps pulling it out of circulation and at first thinking it was just an odd-looking penny before realizing they held a multi-million-dollar treasure. The shock, the thrill, the disbelief, and then the life-changing reality that something so small could hold such enormous value. That's the magic of coin collecting, and it's why we always encourage you to check every coin, no matter how ordinary it seems, because sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. And as we wrap our minds around the incredible possibilities, from doubled dies to off-center strikes, from wrong planches to struck-through errors, from missing letters to transitional alloys, and from die breaks to multi-strikes, we see that the story of the 2017 penny is more than just about money. It's about history, accidents, artistry, and the unpredictable way value is created in the world of numismatics. And so this penny that might have once seemed like just another coin has become a symbol of how extraordinary treasures can hide in plain sight, and why collectors, dreamers, and enthusiasts continue to search, hope, and imagine that maybe one day they too will hold in their hand a 2017 cent worth $50 million, a coin that redefines what value really means and proves that history, chance, and passion can come together to create something truly priceless. So keep your eyes open, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of a single coin to change your life forever. Last 1999 1-cent USA coin. Where the ordinary turns into the extraordinary and where the smallest details hidden on a tiny piece of metal can mean the difference between a coin worth just 1 cent and a coin worth millions of dollars. And today's story is one that will absolutely captivate you because we are diving into the legend of the 1999 Lincoln 1-cent coin. A coin that most people think of as completely ordinary since billions were struck that year at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Yet among those billions, a handful of rare mistakes and unimaginable errors occurred that transformed certain specimens into some of the most valuable coins in the world, with one particular example skyrocketing in value to an incredible and mind-blowing $65 million. Yes, you heard that right. $65 million for a single penny that could have easily slipped through your fingers in change at the grocery store or sat unnoticed in a jar of loose coins in someone's attic. And what makes this story so fascinating is not just the number itself but the way errors, minting mistakes, and rare anomalies combine with collected demand and history to create value far beyond what anyone could have imagined. So sit back and enjoy as we explore in detail the incredible world of the 1999 1-cent coin and why it is so special, so desirable, and so unbelievably valuable. Because this journey is not only about money but about history, about human error, and about the mysteries of the minting process that occasionally produce treasures that even the most advanced machines cannot prevent. And when we look at the 1999 cent, we have to remember that this was a time when the Lincoln Memorial reverse design was still in use, featuring the iconic image of the memorial on the back of the coin. But collectors today know 1999 not just as another year of memorial cents but as a year when some of the most famous modern double die errors and transitional mistakes appeared, giving us a glimpse of how rare combinations of events can create legends in the coin world. So let's begin by considering the most famous variety associated with 1999, the 1999 wide AM cent, which was the result of the mint accidentally using a proof reverse die on circulation coins, causing the spacing between the letters A and M in America to be wide rather than close. And this variety is already incredibly valuable, with high-grade examples worth thousands. But imagine if a coin like this also contained additional errors, like a double strike, an off-center strike, or a missing mint mark. Suddenly you have a coin that is unique and priceless, and collectors go wild for that kind of thing. So when we talk about a 1999 penny being worth $65 million, we're not just talking about any ordinary wide AM. We're talking about the ultimate storm of errors, conditions, and rarity that come together to create a coin unlike any other. And to understand why this is so valuable, we have to dive deeper into the kinds of mistakes that might have occurred. So imagine first a double die obverse where Lincoln's face, his eye, his lips, or the inscriptions like Liberty or Iron God We Trust appear doubled or shadowed due to a misalignment during die creation. And doubled dies are always extremely sought after by collectors because they are not just striking errors but mistakes baked into the die itself, meaning that every coin struck from that die carries the same anomaly, but only a small number survive and in high grades. These can bring enormous sums. Now add to that the possibility of an off-center strike where the design is shifted and part of the planchet is blank, making the coin visually dramatic and immediately recognizable as an error. Then consider that this coin could have been struck multiple times with overlapping designs, or perhaps on a wrong planchet. Maybe a dime blank or a foreign coin blank slipped into the press in 1999 and received the Lincoln design, and those off-metal errors are so rare and valuable that they often sell for tens of thousands by themselves. And when you combine them with something like the wide AM variety or a double die, suddenly you have a coin that collectors would pay anything to own. And that's exactly how you get to astronomical values like $65 million. Because in the world of ultra-rare coins, it's not about intrinsic value. It's about uniqueness, rarity, and the story behind the coin. And the story of the 1999 cent is especially fascinating because of the transitional period that was happening at the mint, with preparations underway for the state quarters program that launched in 1999 and eventually drew national attention to coins in circulation. And with such high production and demand for coinage that mistakes became more likely, leading to anomalies like the wide AM cent and potentially many other varieties that have yet to be fully documented. And this is why collectors are constantly scouring their change for 1999 cents, because every now and then something unbelievable turns up. And just imagine the thrill of being the person who found a penny that would go on to sell for $65 million. The excitement, the disbelief, the realization that a coin you once thought was worthless was actually a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. That's what makes stories like this so powerful and inspiring. And when we think about other possibilities like struck-through errors where a piece of cloth, grease, or even wire was pressed into the coin, during striking, leaving behind strange and unique impressions, or die breaks and cuts where chunks of the die broke off and left raised blobs of metal on the surface, or rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse don't align correctly, we see that 1999 provided endless opportunities for unique and spectacular coins to slip into circulation. And when one coin combines multiple dramatic errors with the historical importance of the wide AM variety, we can begin to understand why such a coin could command a valuation as staggering as $65 million. And beyond the technical errors, we also have to look at the human factor, because collectors with immense resources are always chasing the next ultimate rarity, and when a coin surfaces that is truly one of a kind, the bidding wars at auctions can push the price beyond imagination, because at that point it's not just about owning a coin, it's about owning history, about having bragging rights to something no one else on Earth possesses. And when that happens, price becomes irrelevant and value soars into the tens of millions, which is exactly the case with the legendary 1999 penny. And this shows us something important about numismatics, that value is not determined by face value or even by metal composition, but by rarity, story, and demand, and when all three combine, as they did in this case, the results are extraordinary. And so the 1999 cent that achieved a value of $65 million is not just a piece of copper-plated zinc. It's a symbol of how history, chance, and human fascination with rarity can turn the smallest coin into the ultimate treasure. And this is why coin collecting is so thrilling, because hidden in plain sight, in the most ordinary places, are the possibilities of discoveries that can change lives. And so as you look through your change, your piggy banks, and your old jars of coins, never forget the story of the 1999 penny, because it proves that the difference between a cent and a fortune can be as small as the space between the letters A and M, as dramatic as a doubled die, or as unique as an off-metal strike. And the only way to find out is to keep searching, keep learning, and never overlook the coins that others take for granted, because you never know when you might hold in your hand the next multi-million-dollar treasure, a coin worth not just money but a piece of history that redefines what value really means. And that is why the story of the 1999 1-cent coin worth $65 million will continue to inspire collectors and dreamers for generations to come, reminding us all that extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary of places, waiting only for the right eyes to see them and the right moment to reveal their true worth.